After falling into the wrong place on Earth, a baby with a mustache is raised by a couple of farmers and discovers he has superpowers, but when he is exposed to the world he attracts a major threat to the planet. Today we're going to recap the story of the movie, Super Lopez, from 2018. In the middle of outer space, there is a planet called Chitin, ruled by the terrible Scorba. What he doesn't know is that the baby has just been born to a scientist called Jan, who has given his son superpowers so that one day he will put an end to the evil reign of his planet. However, Scorba and his army are about to arrive at Jan's laboratory and he needs to send his son to a safe planet. After searching the computer, he finds planet Earth and sends the baby on a rocket to the United States. Shortly afterwards, Scorba invades the laboratory and demands the baby, but it is already beyond his reach. Nevertheless, the evil leader's daughter, Agata, uses her telepathic powers to read Jan's mind and discovers where his son has been sent. The girl decides to find the baby and sets off into space to capture it. The two ships meet in Earth orbit, but the baby's rocket collides with the ISPA-SAT satellite and its course is altered towards Spain, while Agata heads for the United States. Just then, a couple of farmers, the Lopezes, drive by in their pickup truck and are narrowly missed by the spaceship, which crashes in the middle of the field. They go to check what's inside and find a newborn baby, but are surprised to see that it was born with a mustache. Despite this, the woman decides to raise him as her son and the farmer tries to play with the boy, only to have his finger twisted off by the baby's enormous strength. Minutes later, the two of them take their adopted son home, along with the spaceship, so that no one knows what happened. Years pass and the baby, now called Juan Lopez, becomes a healthy boy, but his mustache always grows, even though his parents shave it off. What's more, he can't master his powers, which range from super strength, heat vision and even super speed. These skills soon become a problem and, during a soccer match, Lopez is the team's goalkeeper, but is afraid of hurting someone. Amid the pressure of the spectators, the boy runs at high speed with the ball, dodging everyone until he reaches the opponent's goal. The boy then shoots to score, but his strength is so great that the ball goes all the way into the goal, taking the boy who was goalkeeper with it. Despite the victory, his classmates think Juan cheated and leaving him alone. Back at home, the boy is scolded by his father, who tells him to be more careful with his powers, or no one will like him. Unfortunately, his father's advice proves true when, on the boy's birthday, none of his friends show up for the party. Juan is saddened and his parents try to support him, saying that in order to be accepted by people, he needs to be like them and learn to control his powers. The boy accepts the advice and decides to be more normal from now on. 20 years have passed since that day and Juan has been training to adapt to life on Earth. Now an adult and working for a company, he only uses his powers when people aren't watching him. In fact, he soon has to use his super speed because he's woken up late for work. He quickly gets ready and arrives at the office, seconds before his boss and best friend, Jamie, appears in the room. When they meet, Jamie tells them that he has hired a new employee for the company. Although he wants to disguise it, the boss shows a romantic interest in the young woman and asks Juan to meet her when she arrives. While picking up a chocolate from the machine, he hears through his super hearing that the new employee has arrived. Juan then sees who she is with his X-ray vision and discovers that she is Luisa, an old college classmate and his romantic interest from the past. When they meet again, the young woman is happy to see him and shows that the feeling between them is mutual. Despite this, Jamie soon interferes in the conversation and asks Juan to get some ice, as they are going to have a small party to welcome the new girl. Despite the humiliation, Juan obeys and, with his freezing breath, he turns the tap water into blocks of ice. However, when he returns, Luisa has already left, but he quickly leaves the office and goes after her. A few minutes later, Juan meets her on the subway and invites her to a restaurant for pizza. While they're catching up, a bunch of rowdy kids start making noise in the restaurant, which makes Luisa very angry. She tells the guys to behave, but they don't care and Juan is forced to intervene. However, he remembers his father's words about not exposing himself and, when the guys knock him to the ground, he decides not to fight back. On his way home, Juan waits at the station until he sees the subway speeding out of control. Seeing that the time has come to act, he runs quickly to reach the subway, which is packed with passengers. Juan gets to the nearest station and tries to hold the subway with his strength, but it's not enough and he's pushed by the vehicle. The young man pulls himself together and runs to the last station, where he ties the fire hose to two iron structures to block the passage of the metro. The plan works, but now Juan has revealed himself to the world and the station's cameras have captured his heroic act. The news soon spreads around the world and reaches Agata, who has remained on Earth and created the world's largest technology company. She and her minions, who are robot clones she created, have been responsible for several accidents and tragedies in various countries in an attempt to find the baby. This time, the subway incident has finally revealed Jan's son and she orders him to be captured as soon as possible. In the meantime, Juan returns to work and tries to keep up appearances. Meanwhile, everyone is talking about the hero who saved the subway, except Luisa, who believes it's all a publicity stunt to attract public attention. The two continue talking until Jamie appears and tells them about the big news in the country. Businesswoman Agata is planning to visit Spain. The news soon becomes a TV story, with the businesswoman saying that she has come to the country to meet the Spanish superhero. She then contacts her father, telling him that her search is over and that she will soon be returning home. However, Scorba says that he doesn't intend to wait any longer and that if she doesn't take him back, he will destroy the Earth, along with her and all the Earthlings. Even though she is hurt by her father, she decides to go ahead with her plan and uses a communicator that only Juan can hear. Unfortunately, he was going for a romantic dinner with Luisa, but the sound emitted by Agata causes a strong pain in his mind. To stop the noise, he obeys her call and meets her at one of her companies in Spain. There, Agata awaits him and reveals the whole truth about her origins and her goal of taking him back to Chitton. However, Juan believes it's all a hoax and is about to leave to find Luisa. Agata then orders her men to stop him and one of them uses the champagne bottle to hit Juan, but it doesn't do him any harm. The man tries to punch him, but the hero strikes back with a powerful blow that unintentionally removes the robot's arm. Agatha orders more of them to appear and soon, an army of robots gathers, armed with batons and tasers. To their misfortune, Juan manages to defeat them easily with his strength and heat vision. The army of robots decides to make a combined attack and rides in on Lopez, all of them hitting him at the same time. Even so, Lopez manages to free himself and flees towards the elevator, but leaves his suit on the floor, and worse, with a card containing Luisa's data. Agata then activates one of the vacuum cleaner robots, which Jaime's company has bought, to investigate Luisa's computer. At that moment, Jamie was still in the office and, when he saw the robot hacking into Luisa's computer, he tried to stop it. However, the robot transforms, releasing spider-like metal claws and sets out to attack Jamie. Fortunately, he meets the company's two cleaners and together they destroy the robot, leaving it in pieces. Despite this, the data from Luisa's computer was transmitted to Agata, along with samples of her DNA. Meanwhile, Juan rushes off to his apartment, as she was no longer at the restaurant where they were going to have dinner. Shortly afterwards, Luisa appears, a little upset at having drunk a whole bottle of wine while waiting for Juan. He wants to tell her what happened, but first he needs to go to his parents' house to find out more about his past. Luisa thinks he's just making lame excuses and that he's never actually had the courage to admit his feelings for her. Juan is in too much of a hurry to argue with her, but before he goes, he hugs Luisa and gives her a passionate kiss, proving that he has always loved her. Just then, Jamie arrives to tell Luisa what has happened and finds her and her friend together. Hurt, he thinks about going home, but Agata appears in a van, along with her clone robots. She sees the robot in Jaime's hands and uses her telepathy to discover that he has feelings for Luisa. She promises to help Jamie win back his beloved if he reveals where Juan is. Despite going against his friend, Jamie accepts and Agata then shows that she will capture Juan, using her newest creation, a robot clone of Luisa. The next day, Juan arrives at his old house, where his father is waiting for him, already knowing about the subway story. Even so, the hero doesn't want to be lectured and simply asks him and his mother if they are in fact his real parents. Unable to hide the truth, the two of them take him to the shed where their spaceship is stored. Juan inspects the rocket and accidentally activates a hologram, which shows a message recorded by his real father, Jan. The scientist says that, through his son, he has created the ultimate weapon to end Scorba's evil rule. What's more, he reveals that the hero possesses incredible powers, including one that Lopez didn't know about: the ability to fly. Finally, the message ends with Jan saying that his son must return to Chitton to save his home planet. Despite this request, Juan doesn't want to be part of it and just wants to have a normal life on Earth. However, his adoptive parents believe that his mission is to save the universe and, while searching the ship, Juan's mother found a costume. It has a huge S drawn on it, almost like Superman's, and his parents insist he wear it, but when he puts it on, it's not the most stylish look. Nevertheless, Juan decides to learn to fly and the three of them go to a huge tower in the middle of the farm. The hero tries to jump from the top, thinking his powers will activate, but instead he falls flat on his face. Annoyed, Juan leaves in his costume, until three youngsters appear on the way and start making fun of his outfit. One of the boys even shows his finger to the superhero, who responds with a gesture with his right hand that suddenly makes him levitate. Juan then makes the same gesture with his other hand and starts flying through the sky. Because he has no practice at it, The air pressure obstructs his vision and the hero falls into the sea. After swimming to dry land, Juan again makes the hand gestures and flies at sonic speed, until he falls back into an open field. Even so, he doesn't give up and, after many attempts, the hero finally gets the hang of it and flies with greater control. Hours later, Juan returns home and his parents convince him to leave the costume hidden under his clothes so that he can wear it whenever he needs to. Shortly afterwards, Luisa knocks on the door, but it's her robot clone, who is being controlled by Agata. Juan takes her to his room and tries to explain what happened, but far away, Jamie sees everything through the robot's eyes and asks Agata to intervene. She accepts and the guy starts talking through the robot, saying that Juan betrayed his best friend by kissing the woman he was in love with. To his surprise, Juan recognizes his fault and promises to ask for forgiveness from Jamie, who has always been his best friend. These words make Jamie emotional, so Agata decides to intervene and orders the robot to attack Juan. Luisa's clone obeys and punches him in the face and throws him against the wall. Seeing their son injured, the couple try to help him, but the hero says he'll face the robot alone. Juan then tries to take off his clothes to show his costume, but it's not as easy as Superman makes it look in the movies. With the help of his parents, he finally reveals his heroic costume, but the robot punches him in the face again and pushes him against the shelves. Not knowing what to do, Juan grabs a frying pan from the stove and uses it to block the robot's repeated punches. Even so, it grabs him by the neck and twists his nose, but Juan fights back, throwing it away. With the robot lying on the ground, the superhero's mother seizes the chance and slaps the robot, but it soon gets up and lifts the woman into the air. Juan becomes enraged, grabs a huge piece of meat he finds in the kitchen and with it, strikes the robot, which removes its head. The fight is finally over and Juan decides to go to Luisa, as he believes she will be Agata's next target. He calls the young woman, who says she's at the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, and Juan goes there. The hero tries to tell her the whole truth about his extraterrestrial origin, his powers and the threat from Agata, but Luisa thinks it's all just hot air. Juan decides to convince her and, after taking off his clothes and revealing the costume, he promises to fly around the Arc de Triomphe. But before he can do so, a group of cosplayers, led by Jefferson, mistake him for a guy in a costume and say that this is their area. Juan tries to explain that he is a real hero, but in the meantime, Luisa is captured by Agata's robots. Soon after, the villain uses her communicator to threaten Juan, saying that if he doesn't go with her back to Chitin, Luisa and Jamie will be in danger. The superhero then flies quickly towards Agata's company and when he arrives in the main hall, he finds his friends trapped. Juan immediately sets out to free them, but Agata activates the communicator again and increases its frequency, leaving the hero bewildered. Jamie tries to motivate him with emotional speeches, but it doesn't help and he gets so angry that he calls his friend weak. Luisa realizes that the swearing has caught Juan's attention and, together with Jamie, the two of them start swearing at him several times. The plan works and the hero's powers begin to manifest more intensely. At the same time, a spaceship lands on top of the building, bringing with it the boss Scorba. He demands that Agatha give him Jan's son and the two of them go to the hall where he is. Unbeknownst to them, Luisa and Jaime's curses have worked and Lopez has activated his heat vision, opening a huge hole in the wall. Thanks to this, the three of them escape through the skies, just before Scorba arrives and finds the place empty. The boss becomes enraged and starts insulting his daughter, saying that she has always been and always will be the shame of the family. Furious, Agatha removes the pipe from her father's respirator and uses her telekinesis to see what he is thinking in his final moments. In his last moments, Scorba is finally proud of his daughter, who throws his body out of the building and sits on his throne. Now, as the leader of her father's army, Agata intends not only to destroy Juan, but also the entire Earth. She sets off with her ship to meet the superhero, who has gone with Luisa and Jamie to his parents' farm. There, he throws his clothes on the fire, promising never to use his powers again, but soon finds himself in trouble when a spaceship appears, bringing Agatha with her throne. Juan has had enough of all this and says he won't go with her to Chitin and won't be a superhero anymore. However, the villain says she has no interest in him or his planet and will destroy everything once and for all. Agata then presses a button, which transforms her throne into a huge, heavily armed robot. Seeing that he still has to act like a superhero, Juan runs to get his costume which, fortunately, is indestructible against fire. He tells his family and friends to stay away while he puts on his costume for the final battle. The villain doesn't want to wait for him to get dressed and threatens to fire her cannon at Juan, but suddenly his father appears with a shotgun and fires at Agata. The villain then directs her cannon at the farmer and begins to suck him in, but Juan uses his strength to hold him back as long as possible. Even so, his father is sucked up by the robot and all that remains is for the hero to fight Agata with his skills. Unfortunately, the huge machine proved to be too strong and, as well as hitting him with powerful punches, it threw him far away. The force was such that Juan ended up in a soccer stadium, just as the final match between Villarreal and Barcelona was taking place. The superhero takes advantage of being there, grabs the net from the beam and heads back to the farm to capture the robot. However, when he gets there, the superhero accidentally throws the net at his own mother, who is also sucked up by the cannon. With no other choice, Juan attacks her again with his strength, but none of his blows have any effect. Jamie sees everything and tries to help his friend, drawing the robot's attention away, but is also sucked in by the cannon. Inside the robot, he remembers how the insults help the hero become stronger and, together with his parents, they start shouting insults at Juan. Even so, the hero is knocked out by the robot, which is about to split him in two with its spinning blade. But just then Luisa appears in the farm truck and screams for Juan, asking him to get up. His beloved's voice finally wakes him up and, just as Luisa was about to be sucked into the robot, Juan flies towards the cannon and rips it out with his power. After that, he begins to deliver several blows to get through the cabin and stop Agata. The villain, however, is undeterred and says that Juan is not a hero, but he retorts by saying that his real name is Super Lopez. With this new motivation, the hero uses his freezing breath against the cabin and, with a single finger, pushes the robot towards the pool. Agata is finally defeated and Juan's family, as well as Jamie and Luisa, are all safe. Afterwards, Super Lopez reunites with his beloved and the two are about to have a romantic kiss, but the hero's mother interferes and breaks the mood. She warns him that Juan still has to save his planet and he obeys, but instead of going himself, he sends Cosplay, Jefferson, to take his place. Days pass and Juan, now living with Luisa, has breakfast and sets off to fulfill his superhero duties. Although his actions and appearance are not received with much enthusiasm by the people, Super Lopez is ready to protect the planet he calls home. One morning, he's late again for a meeting at the restaurant and, even though he justifies it, Luisa is too angry and asks for the bill. However, a mysterious guy has already paid for everything and when Juan looks to see who it is, he finds an unknown man dressed as a monk. The man, known as the Lord of the Dummies, tells him that the superhero owes him and that he's going to call in the favor soon. Then, in front of everyone in the restaurant, the monk disappears, leaving his pacifier with cosmic powers for the hero, because one day he will return to collect it and ask for his help. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.